Battle of Monroe's Crossroads, Kilpatrick's shirt-tail skedaddle. It's March 1865. General William Tecumseh Sherman is marching his army north from Savannah, Georgia, into North Carolina, aiming for Goldsboro. His goal? Link up with Union forces and crush the last Confederate resistance. Leading Sherman's left wing is Major General Hugh Judson Kilpatrick, commander of the Union Cavalry. Kilpatrick is a man of contradictions, born to a middle-class farming family in New Jersey. As a youth, he dreamed of becoming President of the United States and writing a drama better than Shakespeare. He was a ladies' man, legally so. His wife had died young, leaving him a widower with a reputation for romantic escapades. He had failed in business, but found fame in war, earning the nickname Kill Cavalry for his reckless tactics. Kilpatrick was ambitious, theatrical, and, as we'll soon see, not exactly known for caution. Meanwhile, the Confederates were licking their wounds. Charleston had fallen, and Lieutenant General William Hardee's corps had retreated into North Carolina. But Hardee's force was a shadow of its former self. Half his men had deserted, and South Carolina's governor refused to let state militia cross the border. Enter Lieutenant General Wade Hampton, a wealthy South Carolina planter turned cavalry commander, and Major General Joseph Wheeler, a seasoned fighter from Tennessee. These two were itching for revenge. Hampton had watched his home state burn. Wheeler had seen his cavalry humiliated. Together, they planned a dawn raid to remind Sherman that the Confederacy still had bite. Kilpatrick, ever confident, had split his cavalry and was camped with two of his 4 brigades near Monroe's Crossroads. He was spending the night in a plantation house, not alone, mind you, but with a female companion from his staff. Let's just say she was not a typical officer. Eyewitnesses noted her prominent chest, and when the bullets started flying, Kilpatrick was reportedly riding out in his nightshirt, earning the battle its unofficial nickname, Kilpatrick's shirt-tail skedaddle. At first light on March 10th, Hampton's 3,000 Confederate cavalrymen charged into the Union camp like a swarm of hornets. Union soldiers were caught in their bedrolls. Horses bolted. Tents collapsed. Kilpatrick, thinking fast, grabbed his brushes. Yes, brushes. He was grooming when the attack began, dashed onto the porch, and pointed in the opposite direction when asked, "Where's Kilpatrick?" The Confederates routed the Union cavalry, capturing supplies and scattering troops. After Kilpatrick's infamous dash in his nightshirt, the Union cavalry did what cavalrymen do best when embarrassed. They reformed, regrouped, and came back swinging. Sabers flashed, bugles blared, and the blue troopers counterattacked with fury. The Confederates, who had enjoyed the thrill of catching their enemies half asleep, suddenly found themselves pressed hard. With Sherman's infantry columns rumbling closer, Hampton and Wheeler realized they couldn't hold the ground. So reluctantly, they pulled back toward Fayetteville. Here's the twist. Though the Union claimed the field, Hampton's raid had bought precious time. The rear elements of Hardee's infantry, battered, half-starved, and reduced by desertion, managed to slip away and reach Fayetteville without further harassment. Hampton's cavalry, though bloodied, had done its job: delay Sherman, protect Hardee, and keep the retreat intact. By the evening of March 10, 1865, Hardee's infantry had crossed the Cape Fear River and trudged up the Raleigh-Fayetteville Plank Road, also known as the Stagecoach Road. Fayetteville itself was left in Hampton's hands, his cavalry acting as a rear guard. On the morning of March 11th, Sherman's advance elements entered Fayetteville. Hampton, ever the fighter, staged a brief street battle with his dwindling cavalry. Hooves clattered on cobblestones, pistols cracked in narrow lanes, and for a moment the town echoed with the chaos of war. Then came the showdown at the Clarendon Bridge over the Cape Fear. Hampton held long enough to contest the crossing, then torched the bridge in a spectacular blaze. Flames leapt skyward, timbers collapsed, and by the time the smoke cleared, all Confederate forces were safely east of the river, marching toward Aversboro. Sherman, meanwhile, had problems of his own. His army wasn't just soldiers, it was followed by thousands of refugees, both white and black, who had attached themselves to his columns seeking protection. Sherman couldn't drag this massive civilian train into battle, so he paused in Fayetteville, sending the refugees down to Wilmington. He also had to deal with the Confederate arsenal in town. Sherman wasn't about to leave a functioning weapons depot behind his lines. His men dismantled and destroyed it, ensuring no rebel army could rearm there. After several days of regrouping, Sherman's army moved again. On March 14th, his forces conducted a reconnaissance up the plank road toward Averasborough, where another clash awaited. The Battle of Monroe's Crossroads had been one of the last great cavalry fights of the war. A chaotic dawn raid, a humiliating nightshirt dash, and a counterattack that forced the Confederates to withdraw. But strategically, Hampton had achieved his goal. Hardee's infantry escaped, the Confederate retreat continued, and Sherman's march was slowed just enough to set the stage for Averasborough and ultimately Bentonville. Monroe's Crossroads was a draw in tactics but a win in timing. Kilpatrick's reputation took a hit, and a joke that would follow him forever. In the end, the battle wasn't about who held the field, it was about who kept moving. And in March 1865, movement meant survival.